बाकी लोग शांत रहेंगे, आप लोग ज्यादा बोलते हो तो the periods get shorter. Okay, we have to utilize the time maximum.
मैम मैं आपको 5 मिनट से देता हूँ मैम, मेरा नेटवर्क थोड़ा स्लो आ रहा है।
बेटा फिर आप, मैंने यही तो चीज बोली थी कि नहीं होना चाहिए। आप उस कॉर्नर में बैठो ना जहाँ स्ट्रांग हो घर में।
मैम वो स्ट्रांग ही है मैम, वो आज थोड़ा नेटवर्क स्लो ही आ रहा है।
अच्छा, whose chances left after Virat?
मैम अर्चित।
Who?
मैम अर्चित chances left.
Write in the chat box, beta. It's not audible. What you're saying?
Ma'am,
Archit. Okay, Archit, are you ready? Archit?
Ma'am, he is not.
Ma'am, Archit is not in this meeting. Ma'am, can I present now?
Yes, yes, Virat, start.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, it's visible. Please on your camera also, Virat.
मैम वो मैं लैपटॉप को ले रहा हूँ, मैं उसमें प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ।
अच्छा ठीक।
Ma'am, can I say something?
Yes, बेटा tell.
मैम जो मतलब ये विराट कर रहा है वो मैम गूगल क्रोम से कर रहा है या माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऐसे में मैम उसका लोड ही लोड होता रहेगा, वो नेट उसको बहुत लेता है। तो मैम अगर वो तो उससे चलेगा।
आप उसको फोन करके समझा दो।
मैम स्टार्ट कर दिया मैम, लोड हो गया मैम।
ठीक है ठीक है।
ओम श्री साई राम। टॉपिक द बनियन ट्री। Part 1. Grandfather's house. The boy lived with his grandfather in Dehradun. There was a grand old banyan tree in the garden of that house. He enjoyed sitting in that tree. From there, he used to spy on the one below. Since the grandfather could not climb the tree, it belonged only to the boy. The friend squirrel. Here was a squirrel. It became his friend only. It became sure that the boy had no or later when the boy started to bring him pieces of cake and biscuit that the squirrel was soon taking most from his hand. In the spring, all kinds of birds flocked into its branches, and the tree became the noisiest place in the garden. The boy had built a crude platform on the tree, where he spent the afternoon when it was not too hot. Sitting there, he had read many books. The banyan tree served the boy as a reading room. Mongoose and cobra. When he not feel like reading, he looked at the one below. On one such afternoon, he saw the famous fight between a mongoose and a cobra. Part 2. Fourth. The encounter. It was a very hot afternoon. The narrator saw a big black cobra coming out of a cactus. At the same time, a mongoose emerged from the wind, straight for the cobra. In a clearing beat, the banyan tree they stood face to face clearly. There was to be a battle of championship. Fifth, preparing for the battle. The cobra was about 6 feet long and the mongoose about 3 feet. The cobra spread his foot and the mongoose bushed his tail. Beside the bold narrator, there was a myna and a crow looking at the battle. The battle began. Mongoose head pretend moved to one side. The cobra struck. However, before it could touch him, the mongoose had jumped to one side. While doing so, he also bit the snake on the back. A few drops of blood glistened on the cobra's back. There were there were many such rounds, and every time the mongoose was the victor. During one such round, the crow came in between and became a victim of the snake bite. Seventh, cobra is king. The cobra was gradually weakening, ultimately raising himself on his short legs. The mongoose had the big snake by the snout. The snake made its last attempt to fight, but in vain. When it had killed the struggle, the mongoose gripped it round the hood and dragged it into the bushes. Thank you. Ma'am? Ma'am, done.
Huh. It is a very small PPT, Virat, isn't it? Any video you have for showing?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Anyone who has read the story and wants to tell in
मैम
his or
पिछली
her
क्लास में
words?
रुद्र की वीडियो बच गई थी.
Acha, Rudra, can you share the screen and show us the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you show the video, Rudra?
Ma'am, 10 minutes, please.
10 minutes? 10 minutes तो बहुत ज़्यादा होता है बेटा.
Ma'am, तो 5 मिनट.
Okay,
Ma'am,
this
can
one.
I?
Mehak, you can start yours. Then after that we'll see in the end. We'll see Rudra. Rudra, आप भी ready रखो, tab खोल के रखो. तब तक
Okay,
Mehak.
ma'am.
Okay, Mehak, you can start sharing.
मैम मैं मेरे
This is your
लैपटॉप से
revision.
कर रहा हूँ. मैम अभी आता हूँ मैं.
ठीक. बेटा आवाज नहीं आ रही है महक.
Yes, ma'am. आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
मैम माइक म्यूट है
इसके लिए.
हाँ, आप एक मिनट महक को फोन कर लो या तो. महक बिल्कुल आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
मैम तो भी नहीं आएगी. मैम में होता है.
Dhaval, you can ring up Mahak and tell her how to do it.
मैम शायद उसने ईयरफोन्स
ओके
लगाए.
मैम.
हाँ, महक आपने ईयरफोन्स लगाए हैं? हाँ, लगाए हुए हैं. देखो ऊपर दिख रहा है.
यस मैम.
महक ईयरफोन्स नहीं लगाते हैं, आवाज नहीं आती है.
मैम तो ही आवाज नहीं आएगी. Okay, ma'am. Wait.
मैं वो स्पीकर पे कर दे. ऊपर जो तेरे हेडफोन्स का बटन आ रहा है ना उसको स्पीकर पे कर दे. मैं जो ऊपर का बटन है ना हाँ बस ये सही है.
मैम नहीं आएगी. मैम मैंने भी करके देखा, नहीं आएगी.
मैम मोबाइल से कोई सिस्टम ही नहीं है शायद की वॉइस आने का.
मैम आती तो है पर मैम क्या पता क्या प्रॉब्लम है, अभी नहीं आ रही.
मैम आई क्या आवाज?
मैम
मैम मैंने उसने उससे करा है मैम. क्या एंटायर स्क्रीन से. मैम यार माइक इज म्यूट.
महक आप बंद कर दो बेटा, क्योंकि टाइम वेस्ट हो रहा है. आप धवल से या मानव से अभी बात कर लो. ठीक है.
मैम इसको 2 बार करना पड़ेगा तब आवाज आएगी।
हाँ, कोई उसको फोन करके समझा दो अच्छे से। महक,
यस मैम।
आप समझो जो ये लोग बोल रहे हैं।
मैम आ रही है क्या आवाज?
नहीं आ रही बेटा, टाइम क्योंकि
मैं एक बार जो ऊपर स्पीकर का बटन है ना उसको क्लिक करना। हाँ इधर फोन पे क्लिक करना। अब एक बार ट्राई करो।
आपको समझ आया महक?
आई क्या आवाज?
नहीं बेटा, आप टाइम
मैम नहीं आ रही।
क्लास का, इसके अच्छे कोई कुछ और कर ले हम।
मैम मैं मेरी पीपीटी दिखाऊं?
हाँ
नहीं,
बेटा, यस
वीडियो।
यस शुरू करो।
ओके मैम। मैम स्क्रीन विजिबल?
नो, हाँ यस बेटा, इट इज विजिबल।
मैम मेरी वीडियो दिख रही है?
हाँ दिख रही है बेटा।
आवाज आई थी मैम?
यस यस यस, द साउंड इज कमिंग।
मैम आ रही, क्लियर आ रही।
आ रही क्लियर आ रही।
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम,
यस बेटा।
मैम ये वाली वीडियो तो हमने देख ली।
कब देखी थी?
मैम मैम वो बीच में चल नहीं रही थी इसलिए फिर से देख रहे हैं।
हाँ ठीक है बेटा, देखने दो ना, हम रिवीजन है ये।
ओके मैम।
When I arrived, there was no one in sight, but a girl of about 12. Her eyes were covered with a bandage, and she was being led carefully between the flower beds by a little boy, who was about 4 years younger. She stopped, and it looked like she asked him who had come.
रुद्रा ये स्टॉप शेयरिंग के पास में हाइड का ऑप्शन है, उस पर क्लिक कर देना।
Then they passed on.
डबल रहने दे, नहीं तो मुझसे होती नहीं है ना बंद, क्योंकि दिख तो रहा है ना वैसे अच्छे से।
Miss Beam was all that I had expected. Middle-aged, full of authority, yet kindly and understanding. Her hair was beginning to turn grey, and she had the kind of plump figure that is likely to be comforting to a homesick child. I asked her some questions about her teaching methods, which I had heard were simple. No more than is needed to help them to learn how to do things. Simple spelling, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and writing. The rest is done by reading to them and by interesting talks, during which they have to sit still and keep their hands quiet. There are practically no other lessons. The real aim of this school is not so much to teach thought as to teach thoughtfulness, kindness to others, and being responsible citizens. Look out of the window a minute, will you? I went to the window, which overlooked a large garden and a playground at the back. What do you see? Miss Beam asked. I see some very beautiful grounds, I said, and a lot of jolly children. It pains me, though, to see that they are not all so healthy and active looking. When I came in, I saw one poor little girl being led about. She has some trouble with her eyes. Now I can see two more with the same difficulty. And there's a girl with a crutch watching the others at play. She seems to be a hopeless cripple. Miss Bean laughed. Oh no, she said. She's not really lame. This is only her lame day. The others are not blind either. It is only their blind day. I must have looked very surprised, for she laughed again. This is a very important part of our system, to make our children appreciate and understand misfortune. We make them share in misfortune too. Each term, every child has one blind day, one lame day, one deaf day, one injured day, and one dumb day. During the blind day, their eyes are bandaged absolutely, and they are on their honor not to peep. The bandage is put on overnight, so they wake blind. This means that they need help with everything. Other children are given the duty of helping them and leading them about. They all learn so much this way, both the blind and the helpers. There is no misery about it, Miss Bean continued. Everyone is very kind, and it is really something of a game. Before the day is over, though, even the most thoughtless child realizes what misfortune is. The blind day is, of course, really the worst. But some of the children tell me that the dumb day is the most difficult. We cannot bandage the children's mouths, so they really have to exercise their willpower. Come into the garden and see for yourself how the children feel about it. Miss Beam led me to one of the bandaged girls. Here's a gentleman come to talk to you, said Miss Beam, and left us. Don't you ever peep? I asked the girl. Oh no, she exclaimed. That would be cheating. But I had no idea it was so awful to be blind. You can't see a thing. You feel you are going to be hit by something every moment. It's such a relief just to sit down. Are your helpers kind to you? I asked. Fairly, but they are not as careful as I shall be when it is my turn. Those that have been blind already are the best helpers. It's perfectly ghastly not to see. I wish you'd try. Shall I lead you anywhere? I asked. Oh, yes, she said. Let's go for a little walk. Only you must tell me about things. I shall be so glad when today is over. The other bad days can't be half as bad as this. Having a leg tied up and hopping about on a crutch is almost fun, I guess. Having an arm tied up is a bit more troublesome because you can't eat without help and things like that. I don't think I'll mind being deaf for a day, at least not much. But being blind is so frightening. My head aches all the time just from worrying that I'll get hurt. Where are we now? In the playground, I said. We're walking towards the house. Miss Bean is walking up and down the garden with a tall girl. What is the girl wearing? My little friend asked. A blue cotton skirt and a pink blouse. I think it's Millie, she said. What color is her hair? Very light, I said. Yes, that's Millie. She's the head girl. There's an old man tying up roses, I said. Yes, that's Peter. He's the gardener. He's hundreds of years old. And here comes a girl with curly red hair. She's on crutches. That's Anita, she said. And so we walked on. Gradually, I discovered that I was 10 times more thoughtful than I ever thought I could be. I also realized that if I had to describe people and things to someone else, it made them more interesting to me. When I finally had to leave, I told Miss Bean that I was very sorry to go. Ah, she replied, then there is something in my system after all.
Ma'am, video is complete.
Ma'am, your mic is mute.
Yes, beta. Nice. This video was very nice as it was in very simple English. I liked the video a lot. Very nice. Virat, you don't have a video now. What I will do is I'll show you this video of this banyan tree. Okay.
This is a classic ground often seen in India. And the outcome largely the same. The mongoose is most immune of the venomous bite, but is faster and quicker in motion than a snake. The cobra exudes The cobra assumes a posture of defense and attempts to reach the animal by sweeping strike, but the quick-moving mongoose jump out of reach and comes at snake from another direction. Before the snake can get the striking position again, this constant movement tries and discourages the snake, and the mongoose is finally able to leap in close and bury its teeth in the snake neck, usually serving the joints of its vertebrae. So, part 1. Though the house and the ground belonged to my grandparents, the magnificent old banyan tree was mine, chiefly because at grandfather at 65 could no longer climb it. जो ट्री था उस बनियान ट्री था उसमें मेरे ग्रैंडफादर क्लाइंब नहीं कर सकते थे क्योंकि वो 65 इयर्स के थे. Its spreading branches उनके बनियान ट्री के branches दूसरे थे वो spread हो रहे थे, which hung to the ground and took root again. Forming a number of twisting packages gave me endless pleasure. Among them were squirrels and snakes and butterflies. There was an older than the house, older than grandfather, as old as Dehradun itself. It could hide itself in its branches behind thick green leaves and spy on the world below. My first friend was a small grey squirrel. मेरा पहला दोस्त कौन था? एक छोटा सा grey squirrel, arching his back and sniffing into the air. He seemed at first to resent my invasion of his privacy, but when he found that I did not arm myself with catapult or air gun, he became friendly. इसके बाद वो क्या हो गया? Friendly हो गई जब उसको लगा कि मैं उसे harm नहीं करूँगा. And when I started bringing him pieces of cake and biscuit, he grew quite bored.
What is the meaning of catapult? Anyone? Catapult किसको कहते हैं? Anyone? What is it? हाँ? आपने वो उससे खेला हुआ है? क्या कहते हैं उसको? ऐसे
सर
नो मैम गड़गड़िया
ऐसे रबड़ का वो होता है.
गुलेल बोलते हैं.
मैम वो गुलेल है. मैम गुलेल
बोलते हैं.
मैम गुलेल को तो स्लिंग शॉट बोलते हैं.
नो कैटapult आप चेक करो व्हाट इज कैटapult. One second, there's some internet problem. I think I should off my camera.
मैम आई सर्च इट इज गुलेल. यस मैम उसमें लिखा है कि वो स्टोन को
हाँ गुलेल. ठीक है. So here it is the word that come now, catapult.
Before long, he was delivering into my pockets. कभी-कभी वो मेरे pockets में चला जाता था and helping himself to whatever he could find. He was a very young squirrel. बहुत ज़्यादा young squirrel था, and his friends and relatives probably thought him foolish and headstrong for trusting a human. और उसके friend और जो relatives थे, वो उसको बहुत foolish समझते थे, क्योंकि वो एक human being को trust करता है. In the spring, when the banyan tree was full of small red figs, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. The red-buttoned bulbul, cheerful and greedy parrots, myna, and crows gobbling with one another. During the face season, the banyan tree was the noisiest place of the garden क्योंकि वहाँ पे सारे तरह के जो animals थे वो आके stay करते थे. Halfway up the tree, I had built a crude platform where I could spend the afternoon when it was not too hot. Halfway tree, मतलब tree के halfway में मैंने एक क्रूड प्लेटफॉर्म बना लिया था जहां मैं आफ्टरनून को आके अपना टाइम स्पेंड करता था जब वहां पे ज्यादा धूप नहीं होती थी. I could read through propping myself against a tree with the cushions and from the living room. मैं ट्री के जो ब्रांचेस है ना, जो ट्रंक्स है, उसके साइड में कुशन रख लेता था और अपने आप को एज लिविंग रूम से कुशन लाके वहां पे रख के आराम से रेस्ट करता था. Treasure Island, Huckleberry Finn, and Story of Dr. Dollett were some of the books made my banyan tree library. और वहाँ पे बहुत सारी बुक्स भी पढ़ता था मैं. I did not feel like reading. जब मैं रीड करके बोर हो जाता था, I could look down through the leaves at the world below. तो फिर मैं leaves के नीचे देखने लगता था और नीचे की दुनिया देखता था. And on one particular afternoon, एक particular afternoon में I had a grandstand view that a classic of Indian boys fight between a mongoose and a cobra. और फिर मैंने वहाँ पे एक fight देखी mongoose और cobra के बीच में. A warm breeze of approaching summer had sent everyone, including the garden, into the house. बहुत ज़्यादा कड़क धूप चल रही थी, तो हर कोई अपने घर पे था. I was feeling dozy myself, wondering if I could go to pond and have a swim with Ramu and Buffalo. मैं ये सोचा कि मैं अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ जाके swim कराऊं pond में. When I saw a huge black cobra clinging out of a clump of cactus, एक बड़ा सा huge black cobra जो cactus के पीछे से आया, and at the same time एक mongoose वहाँ पे आया. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree in the bright sun, they came face to face. वहाँ पे वो लोग instead of face to face, so a cobra knew only too well that a grey mongoose 3 feet long was a super fighter, clever and aggressive. But the cobra too was skillful and experienced fighter. Cobra एक बहुत अच्छा fighter था. He could move swiftly and strike with the speed of light. And the sacs behind his long, sharp fangs was full of deadly poison. उसकी body में बहुत सारा poison था. It was to be battle of champion. ये battle of champion की तरह था. His in defense, his forked tongue dating in and out, the cobra raised 3 of his 6 feet of ground and spread its broad, spectacled hood. And the mongoose brushed his tail, the long hair on his spine stood up. Though the combatants was unaware of my presence in the tree, they were soon made aware of the arrival of 2 spectators, one of Mana and another jungle of Crow. They had seen this preparation for the battle and had settled in the cactus to watch the outcome. वो दोनों वहाँ पे जो मैना थे और जो क्रो थे वो कैक्टस के ऊपर बैठ के ये नजारा देखने लगे कैसे ये लोग फाइट कर रहे हैं. Had they been contest only to watch, all would have been well with both of them.
Hola, me llamo Diego Catalán y soy pintor, dibujante y profesor de anatomía artística. Bueno,
the cobra stood on the defensive, swaying slowly from side to side, trying to memorize the mongoose into making false move. But the mongoose knew the power of.
This word has been told wrong. It is mesmerize. Mesmerize होता है किसी को अपने वश में कर लेना. Okay. When see this very carefully. This is the fight between the mongoose and the snake, the cobra. It's very interesting, and one of the answers this whole paragraph will come.
His opponent glassy and twinkling eyes and refused to meet them. Instead, he fixed his gaze at a point just below the cobra's hood and opened the attack. Moving forward quickly until he was just within the cobra reach, the mongoose made a pretended move to one side. Immediately, the cobra stuck. His great hood came so swiftly that I thought nothing could save the mongoose. अब मुझे लग रहा है कि mongoose को कोई नहीं बचाएगा. But the little fellow jumped neatly one side, but वो बहुत तेजी से दूसरे side jump कर गया and darted swiftly at cobra, biting the snake on the back and darting away again out of reach. उसने उसको back में bite किया, snake के back में bite किया, mongoose ने और वहाँ से फिर से चला गया. At the same moment, the cobra struck the crow and Maina huddled themselves at him, only to collide heavily in mid-air, striking themselves at each other. The return to cactus plant. A few drops of blood gisted on cobra's head. कुछ few drops of blood cobra के पीछे से आने लगे, मतलब body से आने लगे. The cobra stuck and mixed again. The mongoose sprang aside, jumped in and bite. Again, the bird dived in the snake, bumped into each other, instantly return shrinking to the safety of cactus. The third round followed the same course at the first, but with one dramatic difference. The crow and the mana still pretended to take part in preceding dive at a cobra, but this time they missed each other as well as their mark. The mana flew on and reached its perch, but the crow tried to pull up in the mid-air and turn back. In the second that it took the bird to the cobra, whipped his head back and stuck with a great force, his snot thundering against the crow body. I saw the bird flung nearby 20 feet across the garden. It fluttered about a while. They lay still. The mana remained and cactus plant, and when And when the snake and the mongoose returned to the fight, very wisely decided not to interfere again. उन्होंने सोचा कि अब हम वापस से interfere नहीं करेंगे. Cobra was weakened. अब Cobra weak हो चुका था, and the mongoose भी. Walking fearlessly up to it, it raised himself on the short leg, and with a lightning snap, the big snake was by the sword. The cobra bitten and lashed about it in a frightening manner, and even collided itself about the mongoose. But to no evil, the little fellow hung grimly on until the snake had ceased to struggle. He then smelled along the quivering length, gripping into the crown, the hood, and dragged it into the bushes. The men had dropped cautiously to the ground, hopped about, purred in the bushes from the safe distance, and then, with a shrill cry of congratulation, flew away. And this story is written by Ruskin Bond. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes, beta.
ma'am, my test.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, my paragraph
Yes, your test. I'm taking. Be ready, okay? On your camera. Your camera should be on for that. Okay. See, I'll explain this chapter once again, the banyan tree, next time. Okay, we have the period on Wednesday. Then we will be over with our honeysuckle. Okay? और आपको जो supplement के बाकी chapters हैं, आप please reading करके देना. मैं उसमें से बीच में से questions पूछूंगी. You have 2 chapters left in supplementary. ठीक है? तो मैं डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन आंसर्स ही आपसे पूछूंगी. ये देखने के लिए आपने कैसे रीडिंग की है. Okay, if you want to say yes ma'am or something, you can write in the chat. Okay, and then we will directly start with the revision. Next Friday my target is I have to start the revision. Okay, और Wednesday को जो आपकी class है, it is at 11:20 I think, but I will begin, I will begin the class on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am.
हाँ क्या?
मैम आप
वेदांत?
वेडनेसडे को बनियन ट्री का मैम समरी पढ़वाएंगे और मैम उसके बाद आप क्वेश्चन करेंगे.
क्वेश्चन आंसर्स बेटा आप अपने आप कर लो. अगर आपको डाउट है तो आप पूछो.
भेज दीजिएगा.
हाँ मैं भेज दूंगी. ठीक है? मैं सारे इसलिए एक साथ नहीं भेज रही क्योंकि कंफ्यूजन हो जाएगा. आज मैं एक और भेज दूंगी.
यस
ठीक है? Okay. You all can leave the class. I have to take the assessment for